Okay, sir.
So we are continuing from here.
Okay.
We marked this the last time, so just we ensure we are working from the application server.
Yes.
So we have our work server, our application server, and our production server. We may not need their production server right now, but just this is the way it should be arranged normally. All three servers are accessible remotely.
Okay.
All right, so let's go step by step. So
Okay, sir.
we already revised all of this, so we are conversant with everything we've done to this point. So let's go here. So what we want to do now is we want to install Docker. What is Docker?
Okay.
What is Docker? You remember this idea? Let me bring up share. Let me quickly explain Docker before we install it. Remember the idea of you have you have what do we have here? We have our host, and then on top of the host, which in my case is my laptop, we have a operating system, right? Operating system on the host. Remember? And then on the operating system, what do we have? Or what did we have?
Yes, sir.
We had a virtualization software, generally called hypervisor. We had the hypervisor. Then on top of the hypervisor, we're now able to create as many virtual machines as the number, as our resources, as our host resources can carry. You remember this concept? Remember this concept in our virtual environment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the same, let me just embed this for people who are not here. So let me just, so this is our host, right? Our host machine, our laptop that carries the physical hardware. And then on top of that one, we have our OS. And then on top of that one, we have our hypervisor. Hypervisor. And this is type 2. And then on top of those ones, can I have virtual machine? How many virtual machines can we have? Depends on it's dependent on the number of virtual machine 1, and then virtual machine n, some number n, where n is dependent on the number of resources. I mean the resources that we have. You are very conversant with this, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's so much delay between when I talk and when you hear, but you need this understanding to know what
Yeah, it's a network. It is a network.
Okay. We need this understanding to understand what Docker is.
Yeah.
But before I explain what Docker is, let me quickly test you. If this was going to be if this was going to be a cloud environment and not just virtual machine within our LAN, what would you call this? This one that we call host now, what would you call it? So instead of this being a virtual machine, a virtualized environment within our local area network or within our host, we are extrapolating this to cloud environment. In that case, what would be the area or this term that provides your resources, your hardware resources? What is it called in cloud or cloud services?
Infrastructure.
Okay, maybe, yeah, they are all infrastructure actually, but infrastructure is not too far from it. So what is the Any better name? Infrastructure, because that infrastructure is common to both of them. You are calling the resources infrastructure. Yeah, you are right.
Okay,
But
like okay,
yeah, try harder.
okay, this you are saying this setup now. What are we going to call it in cloud?
Yes, one by one. This one we're calling host now. If it was cloud, we'll not be calling it host now. It's not called host, it's cloud. So the place that houses the infrastructure, the resources that your host houses in our lab, what is it called for cloud? It's called data center. Remember?
Okay, yes, I remember, sir.
Okay. And then for cloud, are you going to have this operating system here for cloud environment?
Please, sir.
Yes, I'm listening.
This operating system. Please, sir, can I quickly change my network to a better one?
Okay, go ahead. I'll wait for you.
Please give me just 1 minute. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Hello, sir. I'm back, sir.
Yeah, back. Okay.
Yes.
So infrastructure, let's do it a different one. Or better still, data center. That's a physical place where the physical data center. All right. So complete this design architecture for a cloud. So what will be the next layer on top?
The next layer on top will be what is are you going to provide?
Compare, you still have this one, so you can relate to this.
Okay. Servers.
No, servers are, no, not in terms of servers. Servers are actually already part of your infrastructure, because what makes your server, what make up your server are your CPU, your memory, and your hard disk space. So they are already provided in infrastructure. So taking that and combining them, now that's what makes your server. So the next layer here for a cloud environment would be your hypervisor, not OS, not your OS. Hypervisor.
Okay.
You knew this thing, just that you have not revised them anymore. And this one will be type 1 hypervisor, not type 2 like we have here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Can you please remind me the difference between type 1 and type 2?
Type 1 hypervisor is bare metal hypervisor. It will sit directly on the hardware, on the infrastructure. But type 2 hypervisor is host. So it will sit on the operating system. So type 2 hypervisor will need the operating system to be in place first before it can work. For example, Oracle VirtualBox. Without our operating system, we cannot run our Oracle VirtualBox. But there are other very rugged and industry. In fact, this is like a Soho. Remember the meaning of Soho? Small networks and small LANs.
Yes.
So hypervisor 2 is for small network and small LAN. For big networks, hypervisor 1 is what they use. Big networks like Amazon Cloud, Google Cloud. So if Amazon is coming to set up a data center in Nigeria, for example, we'll be looking for people who are specialized in hypervisor 2. Example is XC, Microsoft vSphere. They are big hypervisors, not the small ones that we have. They are the enterprise equivalent of this one. This one is just the small equivalent, the small office, home office equivalent. XC, is that how to spell XC? I think so. I'm not so sure. I have to look at the note to remember. No, this is DevOps note. All right. So on top of that, what do we now have?
We have the after the hypervisor. We won't be needing the VMs this time around.
Yeah, we'll not create the VMs. The VMs, that's why you created hypervisor, because you don't want to create VMs. That's the reason.
Okay, the virtual machines.
So you now have the virtual machines on top of your hypervisor. So you have this, there's no limit. Anytime you run out of space, what do you do?
As many as possible.
Yes, anytime you run out of space, what do you do? Say, for example, you cannot create more VMs. What do? You increase your infrastructure in the data center. You add more resources, and then automatically to create more of this. So it is these virtual machines now that you now make available virtually to customers all over the world to create their own servers from. And then once they create their server, they now load whatever OS they need on it. So at the level of cloud engineering, this is where you start from. All of this is already provided by AWS. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So all of this already provided by AWS in a what? In their data center. Let's quickly take a look so that we're discussing now, not as. Let's quickly create an EC2. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. I'm not seeing your.
Oh, okay. Let me quickly see.
AWS here.
All right. Can you see my AWS now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's quickly launch an instance to remind you of it. So at this point, you are choosing. You want to create your server within the virtual machines presented by AWS. What type of operating system do you need on your server? Look at the different kinds of operating systems. Deep Learning, Windows Server 2019, Windows Server, Linux. Look at them, different kinds of operating systems. And even if you do not find the operating, for example, you want to set up a telecoms company, all right? And you find that the operating system you need for your telecoms operation is not here. Go to AWS Marketplace and you find that there are many more operating systems depending on what you want to configure. There are many more. Juniper, Open, even if you want to do VPN server, you want to do Splunk, there are many possibilities. Look at them. If what you want to do is infrastructure software related, there are many on that. If what you want to do is backup and recovery related, data analysis, all of them, they all have the fundamental, not just the operating system, the fundamental architecture to make that possible. All you do is just load it as it already is, and then you pay them for using their service, which they published for you to buy. Okay. Right? So if you want to become a hosting company right now, as we talk now, in another 4 hours, you are going to be a hosting company. You'll be hosting websites for people around the world. And then you just do promotional thing like reseller and all of that. It's just one man somewhere in the office. The website may be beautiful and very well articulated, but it's simple. So the same way somebody is setting up a hosting service just by loading the right operating system here, is the same way another person will set up another WhatsApp company by finding the right operating system and the right architecture. Is the same way another person will have a brand new idea entirely just because the business application is already provided here. Look at the thousands and millions of them. It's not possible. The ones you have not even talked about. Go certify. What do they do? So whatever it is, once you can dream it, you can think of it, just come here, you find the appropriate operating system. Okay, but that's not the idea. What I really want to bring out from here, the reason I came here, let me quickly rush you through this, is that, is that first of all, you take your operating system. It is you that now determine what you want from the operating. Look at this. Look at this. CPU, memory, storage. Are these not the three things we always talk about when we say you are setting up a server?
Yes.
So these are the place where this is the place where you pick those things. You can now say, no, I want 4 CPUs in one. So you scroll down and you say, I take this one, T3. It has 4 CPUs, so 4 processors working together. It has 16 gig of RAM, and it has a storage capacity, EBS. You know, EBS is storage of
Yes.
that gig. Or if you don't want, you can say, okay, I want a higher gig of storage. You can take that one later. But for now, just take you want storage. So this is where you determine the capacity of the server that you are creating from your virtual machine presented earlier on. It's from here. Even though, because we are doing free tier, we had not taken time to scroll down. There are many more. So if from day one, you want to create a big company that will compete with the multinationals and conglomerates, then go down and take a big server. Look at this server, 48 processors, 384 meg. Can you imagine what this can do? If we're able to
very expensive.
Very expensive, yes. If we're able to do so much with just 32 meg, imagine what 400 meg can do with 48 processors at once. Well, very expensive, but can also do so much. So what you choose is up to you. All right, let me go back to that diagram now. So the point I'm making here is that these resources are already provided at the data center, and it is from this point now that you go into cloud and determine the size of server and the capacity of server that you want for yourself based on what's already available. It is on this server now that you now put your operating system. Based on the operating, the first question was, what operating system do we want?
Yes.
And then the second set of questions was, what kind of hardware capacity server do we need to create for that operating system? And then before it goes on to ask you security, how many servers do you want? And then by the time you click finish, it will automatically create it for you. So understanding this and being able to relate this at this level will really help you at interview. All right. Now that you have refreshed your mind on this, now let us go back to what Docker is. What Docker is. All right. So I needed to, well, I'll have to clean this one to talk about Docker. Let me clean only this part. Now, for this place, this one has limitations. Now, suppose you have one laptop. Okay, let me control Z. Again, let us look at another situation. This time you have one laptop, right? Similar to this one, similar to this virtual machine environment. On this laptop, you now have in fact, let me continue with this one. No need to draw a new one. How many operating systems can you run on this virtual machine? Only one.
Yes.
Only one. One operating system per virtual machine.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, as a DevOps person, suppose you have a program that you have developed for First Bank. How many kinds of browsers do First Bank customers need? In fact, they will tell you that this solution you are developing for us, we need it to be able to run well on OS, Mac OS, on Windows Server, on Windows client, on Internet Explorer browser, on Google Chrome browser, on what other kind of Mozilla browser. In fact, they will even give you names that you have not heard before. That it is not enough for you to develop this application for us and make it work fine. They should be able to run seamlessly. Make sure you test them on each of these within each of these environments. Make sure they are working fine. They will list all the 16 different environments that they need their app to work. So it is your job to make sure they work there before you now release it to the application server to say, yes, I have tested them in all of these environments and they are working fine. So does that mean that you have to go and get 1, 2, 3, 16 different laptops or create 16 different virtual machines in order to test them differently in 16 different environments? At the level of now, yes, that's what it means. You need 16 unique environments. But in practice, you don't need it. What you need is just one virtual machine or one environment. Then you now create what you call containers inside that environment, the 15 different containers. And you will treat each container as if it was a different virtual machine, a different environment. So in other words, each container is like a machine by itself, a server by itself. So you have your Linux server, you have your Windows server, you have your Windows client, you have your system that runs Internet Explorer, you have another system that runs Google Chrome, you have and so on and so forth. But all of this, instead of being unique systems, will be housed inside one system. Unlike this case where you have to have different virtual machines to run them uniquely. This one, only one virtual machine can contain all the containers for each of these. Is it not awesome? So just one host can present the environment that you need to do the work of multiple virtual machines, multiple environments. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 30, 50, 70, 100. In fact, hundreds of environments can be run simultaneously within one machine through the concept of containerization. It is this containerization that we refer to as Docker. Docker is the protocol that is responsible for containerization and putting images into the containers to make them behave like they are unique systems on their own. That's the meaning of Docker. So anytime we talk about Docker, we always use the term containerization because of this concept of containers. They are not individual. You cannot call them virtual machines. They behave exactly like virtual machines, but they are not virtual machines. They are containers. The same way this virtual machine behaves. This virtual machine behaves like a unique machine, independent of this host. It's by itself. It runs its own operating system. It runs its own everything. It's not even aware that even its host is there. That's why it's called guest. It's not aware. That is the same way containers behave, exactly the same. It's just that containers now are much more economical, much more faster, and much more infrastructure independent than virtual machines.
Virtual machines.
Containers are so tiny, so very, very tiny, and they will do the work of a fully fledged 25,000 virtual machine. So the idea of container is you create the container, and then like you will load an ISO, your image file, operating system into your virtual machine as the operating system. In the case of container, you load an image. It's not called ISO, it's just called image. All right? So that image is the environment that you want the container to behave. If you want to see how this software would work under very hot environment, create an image of a hot environment, put it there, and put the software there, the application there, and test it. If it passes, then it has passed, and then you can now say yes, it has passed. Then it moves to the application. So when they say software testing, this is what they are talking about around this area. Software testing, software testing. So as DevOps people, you also are already software testers, because you have to, what you do here is testing the software, the application, the solution inside this environment, finding out whether it's working fine. If it's not working fine, talk to your developers and make sure they do whatever editing is required to make it work fine until it works fine before you now push it into application server. And then at the application server, somebody asked me from the other class, your Oga, you are not the owner of this company. You have somebody, there's your Oga, there's somebody who knows this thing more than you. You will now do the final checking and make sure his own part of the work is okay. You haven't completed and saying, whatever I post here is good. They also have their own kind of testing they will do at that level before finally, or there are secrets that they are keeping from you that you shouldn't know about the company that they want to implement by themselves here until finally it is exactly how they want it before they now release it from application server to production server. All right, so that is what Docker is. It is just the explanation that is this long. The implementation is very simple. So do you know the place of Docker, the place of container, and the place of image?
Yes. Hello, sir.
Yes. Hello?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon.
Yeah. So what of the concept of Kubernetes and all this?
Of Kubernetes? Did you say Kubernetes?
Yes, Kubernetes, because I know that.
Yeah, Docker is containerization. All right? But okay, Docker is containerization like that. But it gets to a level where Docker, as smooth as the explanation is no longer adequate for your work. It becomes confusing. Which container is doing what work? There are so many containers. I don't even remember which one I created for, hundreds of containers now. So for big enterprise and big workloads, it gets to a point where we are no longer talking about 2, 3, 4, 5 containers. We are now talking about 300, 400, 500 containers. In that case, it becomes difficult to manage, become clumsy. Do you get it, Ozemede?
I do.
All right. So it is from that point now that you now need another software to even help you manage your containers again. Kubernetes is an example of that kind of software. It will help you manage your content, organize and manage your container. So Kubernetes is built on top of Docker to help you manage containers within Docker. That's the place of Kubernetes. So in other words, it is advanced Docker. If you are dealing with 40, 50, 60 containers at a time, you might be able to manage that with Docker. But if containers become too many and you even need help to manage the container themselves, then you need another software to automate the management of containers, not to automate DevOps. Your Docker is already automating your DevOps, but you now need a second software to help you automate your containers. Then Kubernetes comes in there. So from that explanation, you see that Kubernetes is a bit advanced for us now. So we're not talking Kubernetes at this level, but that is what it means.
Oh, okay.
All right. All right, so that is it. Now let's go back to our notes and see how we can implement Docker. So let's share that. All right, so we just came here to see this, so we don't really need it. So I can escape this. I'll cancel this. All right, so where's our notes? All right, so to install Docker, what's the command? Remember that we are working on our application server for Docker. Does it make sense? Why should we work on our application server? Because we are creating. Does it make sense already? Or do I need to explain it? We need to create it on the application server. Let me go back. What are we creating the containers for? We are creating the container so that we can, on the application server, so that we can deploy our app to it from our work server, right?
Yes.
You know, just like we deployed our work server to our app server. And we did the web. Okay, let's look at that. Our application server. What was the last thing we had? Copy public IP address. Let's browse it. Browse our public IP address using port 8080. Are you seeing my? Let me share. What was the last result we got? We deployed something, and what did we get? Web.
The web app.
Okay.
Web app.
All right.
Yeah.
This was the last result we got. Just like we deployed this one now, the next thing we want to do now is we don't want to deploy this to the whole machine. We want to deploy it only to a particular container. So that our machine, our application server is now able to host many. Because right now, the whole server has taken up, this one has taken up the whole server. We cannot deploy another thing to that server anymore. But by the time we now do containerization, let me come back here. By the time we now do containerization, we're now able to deploy that solution to only this part. Let me take a different one. To only this container. Can you see this container?
Yes, sir.
And then we can now deploy another solution to another container. And then another solution to another container. So we can now deploy multiple solutions, hundreds of different solutions to the same virtual machine. Or even if it's the same solution, but creating different environments, different images within the same. So in any case, we are doing it on the application server because that is where we are deploying the solution to. And we can now say, don't deploy to the whole machine, deploy this one specifically to this container, or deploy the next one to that container, or deploy the next one to this container. So we now have many servers, so to speak, within a single server. All right? If you're understanding what I'm saying, something that should confuse you now is, how do we now browse them? Because is it not the same browser that will browse all of them? How do we now tell them separately that this is this, this is this? The solution to that is we'll define different port numbers. For this one, we'll say use port 8080. For this one, we'll say use port 8090. For this one, we'll say use port 80. We cannot distinguish between them by assigning them different port numbers to browse. Yes.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So sir, if a solution has various parts, all the parts can be deployed into this Docker at the same time, testing them at the same time.
Correct.
Okay.
All the parts can be deployed into different containers within Docker at the same time. Test all of them at the same time. Yeah.
All right. I'm just trying to picture this with the course we had on Route 53. You know, when we're doing the Route 53, there was a portion on when we're configuring it, there was a portion where we had to be specifying what ports to visit when you are when the solution intends to browse. Then we're putting some percentages to say, okay, to control traffic. And we had some things there. What I'm trying to bring out to the nutshell is now we have specified different ports for different solutions that we are putting on this container. On the Route 53, how do we now specify that when you go to www.facebook.com, you should go to port 8080? I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
I understand. But this has nothing to do with RAS 53 at all. All this one is still everything we are describing here is still happening within your factory, within your development. It's not pumped to production yet. It is at the production that it is now publicly available. All this one, you are still doing testing in-house. Your production server, your work server, and your application server, everything is still in-house. It was only after it has been approved and everything is fine that you now pump it to production server. It is when it is at the production server, inside the production server, that is available publicly. So everything we are discussing here is not related to the public domain. RAS 53 is relevant only at the public domain. We are still discussing the manufacturing of the software.
Okay.
In any case, when it does get to the public domain, that would automatically sort itself. But for now, let us stick with what happens in-house at the production level before we now pump the product. Haven't tested the product, haven't done, just like in your factory, you are manufacturing locks, or I worked in Liver Brothers before. And then there was that department, quality control. So that's what we're trying to do now. But once the product leaves the factory and is going to customer's warehouse, it's a different ballgame. But while it is here, we're talking about the things that we do in-house to meet production standards. Yeah.
All right then. All right.
All right. So finally, let's go and do the practical. Now you have an understanding of what we are trying to do. All right. So let me click here and say share. All right. So we'll go to our production application server and we'll do your install Docker. We have 3 servers here. What are they? We have the work server, the production server, the work server, otherwise called host, our application server, and our production server. We'll work here on our application server. All right. So we are there now. What are we? Print working directory. And then for us to install, we have to be sudo su. All right. So what's the first thing we do? Yum update. Since we're already sudo su. Otherwise, if we don't want to be sudo su, we can just stay as EC2, but we use sudo every time. So we can do sudo su since we're seeing ash here. All right. So yum update, just in case there are updates that we need to do. Okay, nothing to update. All right. So let me move. Can you see the commands side by side? Okay, I can close this.
Okay.
All right, let's start now. Yum install Docker. Anywhere you need my answer, take Y for answer.
The install is missing C.
Okay, that's why it's not working. Install. All right. That's how to install Docker. Complete. To find out if Docker is installed, you cut when Docker is installed, a group Docker is also created. We'll find out if the group, of course, first of all, the way you know how to do it, after you install any service, the way you already know it is type the name of the service, Docker, and do either minus version or minus version. If one does not work, try the other one. Okay, minus version did not work. So let's do minus version. Okay, so that works. So we have Docker installed. So that tells us that Docker is installed. Okay, fine. At least now we have learned something. We know how to install Docker. Then when Docker is installed, a group is always created for Docker. Where is the file that has the list of the group names for all the groups on the system. That file is in exe and it's called group. You remember? So that's the file. So do you want to cut it to see whether, of course, Docker is there. You just want to confirm. Docker is already there. But let's see. You will see that Docker has been created as a group. The last group will be displayed. Any questions so far? All right, no question. So we've created Docker. The next thing we want to do, because Docker is a group, is add the user that will be using Docker. Add that user to that group, just like we did for Wheel. Remember Wheel? We add users to Wheel so that those people, the users are now able to perform administrative function by typing sudo. We'll do the same thing here. Here we say user modifier, user mod, minus AG. Thank God you already did Linux, so you understand this. Add to the group Docker. Who are we adding to the group Docker? Add the user EC2 user. Because in Linux, in AWS, there are only two users, EC2 and root. So this time you are adding the user EC2 to the group Docker. Is it correct? User mod minus, yeah. It's looking so simple to me, but it's correct anyway. So added that. All right. Is there a way to test whether EC2 is now part of the Docker group? There's a command called groups. There's a command called groups. You can say groups. What groups does EC2 user belong? EC2 user. User and will. Okay, so yeah, he's giving me a result. It belongs to the group user, EC2 user, the group admin, which is also will. It belongs to the group system journal, and it belongs to the group Docker. Okay, this is my interest. So I can confirm that this command works because it's saying that among the many groups that EC2 is a member of, Docker is one. All right, that's fine. Are we sure that anytime we start the system, this will take effect? So Docker is not only a group, it's also a service. So we need to restore that service so that it now knows that from now on, after we restart, EC2 is a member of that group and is allowed to carry out Docker services. Otherwise, if it restarts, it will not remember. So what's this command? System sit here. You are seeing the command side by side, so we're just copying from there. System sit here. Restart the service called Docker. All right. And then system sit here. Anytime we do restart, we must do enable, right?
Yes, sir.
Enable. Docker. All right. I think we are good. We are good. So now that what's the status? Let's check status of Docker. I'm not done. What's the status of Docker now? Status. All right. Active. Docker is active and running. Okay, looks good. So now that EC2 is a comfortable member of Wheel as well as Docker, then we have no reason to use root anymore. Do we have any reason? So let's switch to EC2 now and continue to work with Docker as an EC2 person. So switch user to EC2. Are we? All right, that's beautiful. So we're now EC2 user. All right, fine. So far, so good, right? Let's continue. So as EC2 user, let us find out what processes, what Docker processes are going on right now. So the command is Docker. You remember that the the normal command is PS, you remember? Processes. But if we do PS, it will give us the PS for Linux. Okay, we don't want it for Linux, we want it for Docker. So we'll have to get into Docker first by saying Docker, then PS. All right. So what does it tell us? Are you seeing what I'm saying?
Yes,
right.
sir.
I wanted this one to appear on a single line so
container,
that.
No container.
Exactly. Let me do it one more time so everything will be on a single line. Yeah, everything is on a single line. Container ID? No. Image inside the container? No. Command? No. Date created? Status? So we have what processes are going on right now? No processes. No processes are going on. We do not have container and we do not have image. All right. So now we can start to create containers and all right. Now create a new container. I already explained what containers are. They are like new virtual machines. They are just like virtual machines are of a Linux server on top of that. All right. So let us create container. But before we create container, there is something called image. You may not create the image by yourself. There is a website called Docker Hub. Okay, so do you remember this place I showed Akin before you guys joined? I showed Akin hundreds of operating systems that are available in the market. The ones manufactured by Amazon called Amazon Images, AMI, and the ones manufactured by people like you who have learned development, you learn stuff like that, and you are using Amazon platform to sell your different environments, your different operating systems as images. In the same way, you also have a website where different people can sell or have made available their own images. That website is called Docker Hub. Docker Hub. All right, it's a hub for Docker images. DockerHub.com. Docker Hub. I guess you need to create an account there. I must. Do I already have an account? Okay. Look at the specific place since I already have an account. Control C. Control V. All right. So this is the Docker Hub. Selenium, Docker, Selenium. Or specifically, not just Docker Hub, the part of the Docker Hub where Selenium make their images available. Look at the different images. All right. So you don't have to create your own image. You can just take images from here. The way you didn't have to create your operating system, but you took one from amongst the many possible operating systems. Look at them. These are all images. So after you create, let's show this. After you create a container, then you can take an image from your Docker Hub. All right. So that's what we're saying here. Create a container, pull a Tomcat image from Docker Hub and place it inside the container. And then, of course, place your web app file inside the Tomcat image. Does it make sense?
Not yet. Maybe by the time we practicalize it.
Okay, let's practice it once. We can try that. All right. So we're mentioning Selenium for the first time. What is Selenium? It's basically used to automate the testing. Automate testing. You know, we talked about, I mentioned testing earlier on, that within the container, testing is carried out, and if it works fine and gives you the result that you expect within the container, you can now say, yes, this is working fine. Then but the testing is automated. It's not something you really have to do separately. It's automated. Selenium is the part of DevOps that is responsible for that automated testing. So that once you push your web app.war into that container, then the testing is done automatically. If there's error, it will tell you there's error, I cannot continue. If there's no error, it will give you the result that you expect. That is Selenium. All right. Now, these Selenium people have already created different environments. They've created environment for testing within internet browser, because the thing we're talking about here is about browsing. We're talking about apps that we are browsing using Internet Explorer, using Google Chrome, using in fact, there are many that we don't know about, but the people for whom we are working, they will tell us we need this application to work in all of these 20 environments. We'll just go to Selenium, pick the images, and deploy the solution in those images to see whether the testing will give us good result, we have done good job, or bad result, there is error. So Selenium will do automated testing across various web browsers. It supports various browsers like Chrome, Mozilla, Firefox, Safari, IE, etc. And you can very easily automate browse testing across these browsers using Selenium. That's what Selenium is. So the reason I'm emphasizing that is that Selenium is not another course or another application that you have to go and learn again after this. Just by picking an image from Selenium, from this place that is already Selenium compliant, manufactured by Selenium, and you are picking from here, you are automatically inviting Selenium not only to test your application within the different environment, the Safari, the IE, depending on what image you take, but also to automate that process and only give you results. All right. Again, like we said, it may not make so much sense, but let's go. All right. And then you have to register with Git Docker Hub in order to have access to this. So just like you register with GitHub and you did other restrictions related to, so you also register with Docker Hub. All right. Docker pull Selenium standalone latest. All right. So let us go now. Docker images to show list of installed images. Do we have any images installed? We don't have containers, so how can we have images installed? But let's do it anyway. Docker images is the command. Docker images. There are no images installed. Yes, an option I should have entered that. What's ls? List images. Docker ls. Oh, switch. Okay, let me just do Docker help. It says, if you're not sure what you want to do, type Docker help and I'll show you. Okay, so let's do Docker help. Docker help. What's the problem? Did it show us? Yes, it showed us. That's a long one. I can't read all of this. So let me do, does man Docker work? Yeah, man Docker works. So Docker, image and container command line interface. That's what they do for images and containers. Docker option, then command. Docker is a client for interacting with daemon through the CLI. The Docker CLI has over 30 different commands. The commands are listed below, and each has its own man image. Wow. All right. So the idea is not for us to learn the 30 commands. All I'm just looking for here is Docker images should show you that. Okay, but I'll see what I'm looking for. I don't want to complicate matters by coming here. Okay, I'm done here, so I'll do quit. So Docker, we'll come back to this. Docker images will show us list of installed images. We don't have any images installed, so we don't expect to see anything. Docker RMI images, image ID, would delete a particular image. So to delete image, you say Docker, then you say remove image. Then you specify the ID of the image. To pull Tomcat image from Docker Hub and start container, use this command, sudo, or if you are, sudo docker pull Tomcat latest. We said Docker images. The images. So it was my error. It's Docker images. I typed Docker image. So Docker images is the correct order. So look at it, Docker images, and it's telling us under repository, what do we have? Under tag, what do we have? Under image ID, what do we have? Nothing, right?
Nothing, yes.
So there are no images. Let's do it again, Docker images, all right? So to tell us under deposit, especially the image ID, it should give us an image ID underneath. So right now there is nothing, there are no images. No container, no images. All right, so we're already learning Docker. All right, so now what we want to do now is we want to pull an image from where? From Docker Hub. The image we want to pull is Tomcat image. Of course, it makes sense now. Where do we deploy applications to? Is it not to Tomcat server?
Tomcat, yes.
All right, so we want to pull a Tomcat image. What version of Tomcat? We are not sure. Let's just say latest. So we just put latest instead of looking for a particular. Unless we need a particular version, then we can go and find out. Otherwise, just put latest if you want the latest version of Tomcat. All right, so let's do that. We'll say sudo. Do we need to say sudo since? Okay, sudo docker. All right, so that's the first part. Then what's the command now? The command is pull Tomcat. All right, latest. All right, that's the command. Sudo docker pull Tomcat latest. From where? From Docker Hub. Let's enter. Let's see if it works. All right, it's working. It's pulling Tomcat from that repository, and then it's bringing it to your server. All right, so it's working now, right? Now that's how to pull an image from your Docker Hub. So it's downloaded. Your Tomcat is not downloaded. So that old method of downloading Tomcat, we may never go back to it again. This is downloading the image of Tomcat now, not Tomcat itself. But of course, it is the image that is equivalent to use within container. Yes, the installation, but this time within container instead of the other one, which was within a virtual machine. All right. So what's the next thing now? Let's see. All right. So it says sudo docker run -d Tomcat this. We can actually combine the two commands by doing I think we should do this. Combine both commands by doing sudo docker run -d name my Tomcat container, /p8080. All right, well, we already downloaded that. So this is saying, okay, let us do this then, since we already downloaded. So what are we doing here? We are saying sudo docker run -d minus name of Tomcat container. So here we are creating a container. We already have the image. But here, this one will create a container and run the container for us. This is how to create container. We create a Docker container with this command run -d. And then we provide a name for the container. And then you run it, and then we say -p8080 Tomcat image ID. What's the ID of our image? Let's see. How do we find out the ID of this Tomcat image? We talked about it earlier on.
Docker images.
Docker, okay, yes, that's correct. We can use that one. Docker images. Yes, you are right. Okay. So we now have a, let's see it on the straight line. So Docker images will now give us the images, and right now we can see that we can see the image ID here. All right. We see the image ID of that image. So anywhere it refers to image ID, we'll have that one. So let's look at this again. Sudo that -d Tomcat container. What name should you suggest? Let's call it Tomcat container 1. That's the name we'll give it. And then we'll do -8080 Tomcat, and then we'll have the image ID now that we'll provide here. So we're ready to enter the command. Let's enter it now. We'll have the whole information. All right, sudo Docker, no, Docker run -d, okay, minus name. Let's call it our, no spacing. Let me increase this so I can see what I'm typing. Let's call it our Tomcat container. Is it correct? Container. Our Tomcat.
Yes, sir.
All right. So sudo docker run minus name. Our Tomcat container. Then -p8080. So we do -p, no. -p, no. -p8080. 8080. Then what? Tomcat image. Let me increase this. And then put Tomcat. Let me see that again. 8080 Tomcat, then image ID. What's the image ID? This one, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's put it there. Paste should do it. Anytime I copy, just do paste. All right. All right, paste. All right, let's enter this. Let's see if it works. Then we can now come back to explain it. We enter error. All right, so what's the error? Response from daemon, driver failed, programming. Wow. All right. Well, I think we have a clue here. If error, port may already be in use. Find out what process is using port 8080 and then kill that process. So the error we're having could be that the port we're assigning, this port 8080 is already in use. And I think it's actually in use by our virtual machine. And now we are saying our container should take it. So let's go and seize it from the virtual machine and make it available so that this container can take it. So if error, the import may be in use. So how do we now take it from? So the command is sudo ls. Let me just copy. No, let me type it so that I can get used to using it. So sudo lsof minus I. That's L not I. LIOF minus I. TCP colon 88. So what do we have? Oh, beautiful, it's working. So it's telling us that
sorry, please, we're not seeing your screen. I am
what?
not seeing. I am not seeing your screen.
Is that
But I'm seeing it. But I'm seeing it.
What about the third person? Have you seen my screen?
Not really.
Okay, let me.
But I'm seeing your screen. You are on Mobile X at the moment.
Yes. And then I'm pressing enter now.
For me, it's kind of tiny. That's all. I can't see it.
Oh, you are seeing?
Okay.
Mobile phone.
All right. I'm seeing it now.
You are seeing it now. Okay.
Yeah.
So you know where we entered this. Did you see when we entered it? That was the last command we entered. This command. Can you see this command I'm highlighting, Jerry?
Is that minus I or minus L?
Minus L. Minus I. It's minus I. But the first one. Look at the command here. Can you see my Word document?
Okay. I can see that one.
That's where I'm taking the command from. So sudo lsof minus I, we are saying which port is using port 8080. Well, give us a reply. Give us a reply. And then it tells us that the port ID, which service? The question here was what service? Oh, Jerry is gone. What service is using port 8080? And then give us a reply. So it gave us a port ID, right? Let us see if we can take the port 8080 from this. Again, let's enter the command. Sudo kill minus, what's the ID? Let's just copy instead of, so we'll right click. We'll right click. All right, so we'll right click here. And then we say PID. Let us try that. Invalid. Sudo kill 32728, 32728. So why is this not working? The ID. Maybe we need to, yeah, we're already doing sudo, so we don't have to be. Kill. Invalid signer name or number. Root, user root. Okay. The user of that one is root. Okay, let me see if I can switch over to root. What's the password for root? I don't have root password now. Why is he asking me for password?
That maybe you should just use sudo su if that one will work.
I already used sudo. I already used sudo, but it's not working. Sudo what?
SU.
Oh, okay. Sudo SU. Okay, that's fine. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's true. That's what I should have done. It's just that when something doesn't work, I'm just taking off my balance. All right, so let's try it again with root command this time. So the root says, let's do the whole command with root. Sudo lsof -i ccp 8080. All right. All right, so kill minus
32
32
728.
728 PID. Invalid signing. Kill this is invalid. What are we doing wrong? What are we doing wrong? 32 sudo p. PID arguments must be process or job ID. Okay. So this is the correct command, but it's not working.
What if you just say kill Java? You tell you what.
What's the command is Java, PID is this, the user who made that possible was IP version 6, device, size TCP. So what are we trying to make work? We're trying to say, let's bring out that command again. Let's go back to root, switch user to EC to user. Okay, let's go back to the previous command. Right, so 8080. It's working directly. Right now. Okay, let me try that command again. This is the command we're trying to run. The whole of this command. I can copy Tomcat image. But what's our Tomcat image? Let me first of all get our Tomcat by running Docker images. So our Tomcat image is this one. So it will now be Control C, Control V, where Tomcat image is this one. Sudo Docker management. Docker error response from daemon. Container process cost list. This error, which I got.
Sir, I just Googled another way to kill a process.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite similar. It's Q -9.
Do you have the ID of the process?
That we'll use the ID of the process. Oh,
that
one was saying, okay, Q -9 Java. Yes.
Okay, let's try that. Q -9. I just type that now. Just Q -9.
Q.
What's Q? Yeah, I typed Q. Letter Q, right?
No, kill like
No, kill.
Okay, kill.
Kill.
Kill. -9.
Yes, Java.
Java. That's all?
Yes.
Okay. Must be preceded by job ID. So which job ID?
That will still be Java ID, the one we used initially.
Okay.
Put the
Do
Java
you remember
ID.
the number? Let's bring back that command again so that I can remember the number.
32728.
Okay, let's just do it one more time. So let's do sudo ls.
That's word.
Okay, sudo ls of -I tcp 88 colon 88. It's not showing anything again. What's the problem? Has it killed it?
Where's the rubber band? Where's the rubber band now?
No.
Where is the rubber?
So sudo, let's first of all make sure this is correct. Sudo lsof minus that, then this. Yeah, that command is correct. Yes, sorry. You know, scatter my Control Z. Yeah, that command is correct. And it's not returning what it used to return. So let's do your kill again. Kill -9 Java. I don't know. Well, let's try the command. Let's see if it's the real one that made us come in. This is the command, right? This is the command. See error. Now, that one remind me, there is a command for killing all processes without even knowing what process you are killing. I should have it somewhere there. Stop all containers, delete all stop container, delete a container. For equivalent images, simply replace container. Now go to I didn't copy that command. That's a command for killing all processes. Go again to see if there's a command, irrespective of what processes are running, just kill them all.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
ls minus l. No, ps minus l. Processes. Now look at processes running.
The Java process is no longer there.
But that command is still not working.
So 1000 UID. Then look at the processes. And what are these processes? What port are they using? These processes are running, but we don't know primary port 80. Did you get the command to kill processes? We want to kill all of these processes. I had the command last time. Kill all running processes.
I can kill all.
Okay. What's the command?
Kill all.
Kill all.
Yes.
Kill. Just all without the hyphen?
There's no space.
Are you sure?
There's no space.
Are you sure? Just like this?
So it's double L, kill, double L, kill. Yeah. At least that's what I'm saying. Kill, okay. Exact, blah, blah.
User with exact, require exact match for every long name. Ignore case, process group. Key process group instead of process. List all known signals. Don't print complaint. Quiet, don't print. user, verbose, version, wait for repos to that. Kill or minus L. Kill or minus L. Then list. What list? Processes. Minus L. So kill or minus L. Where's the list now? How do we now specify that? Kill or if we do this, will it work?
No process found.
Then if we do minus dash, not working. Then PID, no process found. Oh, and this is what we'll be doing. We'll be saying kill PID and it's saying just kill. Then what we so do this is normal one we know. Invalid signal name or number. Did you go invalid signal name?
No, I didn't do that.
Quickly go. Oh, this is the command that should work normally. This is the one I use now. Kill minus that. Sudo kill minus. Okay, so let's get it to Docker. Docker. ls off minus I BCP minus I BCP ATP.
Everything I'm saying is still going back to that Q -9, then PID.
Oh, -9? Did you use -9?
Yeah, it's still going back, directing me back to that Q -9, then PID.
I don't remember I was using -9. So kill -9. Then in this case,
then the PID.
Also our PID 3 what?
3 Jerry said 3 to 7. I've forgotten.
Sorry, what's the PID again?
32728.
32728. Okay. We have the power to do that.
No such process.
It's not even giving us again. So it's right to say no such process because this one is not even giving us the process. All right, so let's try this one again. But not that one. That one is a combination of the two commands. Docker images. Right. So then what's the image? Image ID. Are we copying the wrong image ID? This is not the image ID. This is the image ID now.
Yeah, that's the image ID.
Then this. Docker run. Okay, the container this is in use by this container. Okay, is this a new error or is a different one? Because I'm just noticing this now.
This is a new error.
Okay, so this container, Tomcat container, is already in use. All right, so let's give another container name. Now that's the problem. So my Tomcat container there. So what do you say now? Error, response from OC runtime failed. Container this, process, file not found. Run my Tomcat container. No. You know what? Let's use a different command. Let me use this command. Sudo docker container, my Tomcat container, my Tomcat 2 container. So this will both download as well as Control C and then Control V. Yeah, this one worked now. This one works. This one worked. All right, so let's make do with the one that worked. And later on, me, I'll go and sort out why the other one did not work. So the difference is the difference between the one that worked and the one that did not work. Let me highlight this so that I can troubleshoot it. All right. So, are you seeing my Word document now?
Yes, sir.
All right. So what we are saying is these are two different commands. No, it's too reddish. Let me bring it back together. This command will first of all create. This command will first of all download an image. So that's command 1. This command will first of all download an image. And then this command will now do what? This command would create a container and put that image inside the container. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
It's actually the only one there. The others are still following.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm just looking at the 2 commands critically. And I noticed that the one that worked actually didn't have the image ID included in it.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain. So first of all, these two are 2 parts of the same command. But this one is combining or combine both commands in one. This part is combining those 2 above commands into a single statement. So we're saying sudo docker this -p, and then automatically at the same time, go and download this latest Tomcat server into that container. So let's use the one that works instead of, in fact, if you ask me, I'll just delete this one instead of troubleshooting. I'll not even refer to this one anymore.
So there's no point to pull the Tomcat latest now. Or
yes, I mean the way we're approaching it, unless you really have specific reason and you need to pull only the image, this is the command. But the way we are doing it now, we are creating the container as well as downloading the image, both of them at the same time, and outrightly putting the image into the container, all in one command.
Okay.
So this
So
second
this
one
command,
works.
this command that did not work was supposed to take that downloaded Tomcat latest and put it into that container.
Correct. But this command is doing two things. First of all, it's creating the container and then doing the second part that you mentioned.
Okay.
It will create the container and then it will now take the downloaded Tomcat image and put it inside the container. But this other command now did the three things together. Created the container, downloaded the Tomcat, and then put the downloaded Tomcat into the container.
Into that container.
And as long as it works for us, then why are we bothering ourselves? Why are we taking this long road when this one works for us? But I'll not delete that anyway, just in case you are looking for the command that does only downloading. Oh, sorry, this one. Or in future, you may be looking for the command that only creates but does not download. That will be it. It will create, it will not link. All right, but this one is the 3-in-1. All right, so let's go on. So we did manage to create a container and then put an image that we downloaded into the container. And this is the container. There's no error. I mean, this is that. All right, so last time we said processes. What did we see? This time, let's do processes again and see. Docker processes. Was it that? Docker processes? Yes. This time, what do we have? We do have something. Let me see if we can show in a single. So we do have a process. Container ID. Look at it. The image inside the container ID. Look at it. Those are the things that are important to us. The rest are not. Of course, the name now is my Tomcat 2 container. So the name of my container is this one. So do we see it now? Now we have processes running. Akin, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
And there is no need to do images anymore because you can already see the images. This container,
Yes.
So images is there, container is there, and both the container and the images are displayed under processes. Everything is running. All right. So now that we have it running by managed by expertise, at least we have passed that one. So let us now move to the next thing. What's the next thing? If error, yeah. I did have this error and I used this one and it cleared the error. So I'm guessing the problem I'm having is a repetition of names or something that's confusing the system. But this worked for me the first time. But don't worry about it because we have been able to circumvent that error. All right, so these are just additional commands. We may not need them here, but they'll be useful. So anytime you want to list containers, you talked about 325 containers. If you want to see the list of all containers running, the command is docker container ls minus. You already know ls minus a. So we're just using that within this thing. We actually have many containers running. I will explain that.
I think that's where the confusion started from.
So all the containers we were creating, they were actually working, they were created. But the problem was we didn't just get to put the image inside and somehow. So all the commands we were entering while we were troubleshooting, look at them, they were created. Let me put them on a single. It's on a single line. Look at the containers we created. You remember when I said my container?
Yes. They all work.
Remember, yeah, they all work in terms of, but they didn't just complete the three steps. All right, so don't worry, we're going to use them to learn how to delete container. But let us remember that we don't want to delete. Where's the real one? This is the latest one.
My Tomcat 2. My Tomcat 2 container.
Okay. That's the real one we don't want to delete, the one that's working, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right. So which one is this one?
That's the whole stuff now.
Okay, let me extend it to the line. Oh yeah, you're right. No, it was confusing me as a different line. What's this? So container, ID, image, this. Yes, you are right. It was just now I'm seeing everything in a single line, so it makes me. So it's the same thing as my Tomcat too. So we're going to delete these other three that are not useful to us. All right, that's good. So we'll get to where we'll delete them now, but let's go back to the commands. What other command? Delete a container. In fact, look at it. Look at how to delete a container. Docker container, remove, then the name of the container. What is the name of the container here? Docker container remove, then you specify the name of the container. So in this case, what's the name of the container? It will be, no, it will be container ID, not name. The container ID, this one.
That's the original one.
This one. No, I'm not deleting it. I'm just highlighting what this. So let me remove this. Are you seeing my Word document?
Yes.
So what we should have there is a container
ID.
Container, yeah. Where's my ID? All right. So let us use that syntax now to delete our first container. Docker container RM, then container ID. So let us delete from the bottom. Docker what?
Container. Then the ID.
Remove.
Okay. Remove ID.
Container ID. Just 1 second. Let me be sure we got this spelling right. Container. It's right? Then ID. Let's remove this one. We'll copy this ID. And then we'll paste here. And we'll press enter. Awesome. Looks like it worked. So let us do Docker container ls and all the other ones, all the hidden ones that are not ls -a. All right. So we removed one successfully, right? We deleted that one. That one is gone. All right. So I can help us delete the second one. Help us delete one more container. It will be Docker container remove.
Yes.
What will be the ID?
Container ID.
All right. So we delete this container. Well, there's something I noticed though. If we add space, it may not work. So let's select without the space then before we put it in. Did you notice that processes are when the container, the images are working? Container by itself, they are not processes. So if we do processes now, we are not going to see all of this. They are not processes until those 3 steps Jerry highlighted are working together. All right, so we press enter and then it worked. So it's showing us that one. I should have told us this deleted. But in any case, so Docker container ls -l. All right, that worked. Do we delete one more?
Let's keep it for future.
Let's remove it because it didn't work. So we can now create a new one that will not give us that we can make a process and use that one to create a new one. All right, so ls, then Jerry, remove this one.
I'm sorry, please, before we remove this, I want to show us something.
Okay.
You notice that on the command of these things, especially on these containers, if you look at the command, For the one that is working, it has this catalina.shish.run.
Okay.
I think that is the Tomcat and Docker. When we first downloaded Docker, that's the file that downloaded. But these other ones that are having BF for something, that appears to be the one image ID that we kept moving. Remember when we copied image ID and we on that command that you highlighted that didn't work, there was a place that now said image ID. We kept copying this BF4709.
That's right.
Why were we copying this BF4709E7 stuff?
Is that not the process? What were we doing with it?
Because it seems that it was actually working. Probably we were not asking it to do the right thing.
Yeah, it worked as far as creating the container is concerned, but it did not complete the process of putting the image inside the container.
Was this BF4709E77B18 the process ID for that? I mean, the image. Yes, is it the image ID now or the process ID? I don't know where this number
is. The image that
from.
is the container. Look at it. Look at the number here. Is that not the? Oh, okay. It's already.
It's different.
Container BF4709. Okay, it's different.
It's different because
we did not assign this, so going to find out where it came from might be a bit hard. It was assigned by the system.
I remember if you go back to that Microsoft document that you have, there's a place that is called image ID, and I remember we were copying this
image ID. Where is it?
Go up.
All right.
This is it. Stop. Tomcat image ID.
Yeah. Okay. I remember now. You're right. That is the Tomcat that we downloaded with this command.
Okay. So is it that we're not supposed to use the image ID? I'm only trying to see how we can work on this command to see. I'm just
I'll work on it. But
all right then.
Yeah, I'll see. Then. Yeah, I see your effort. Well done. But me, I'll work. That's why I highlighted it.
Okay. All right then.
Well, let's just go with that is working. That we know that it's working.
Okay. We can remove it then.
Yeah, I want to remove it so that it will not tell me when I'm working on it later that I already have it. So let me clear everything about that.
So we'll say.
So
Docker,
did you already remove it?
No, we haven't.
Okay,
Docker container.
Let's just be sure. Let's do the list. Okay, we still have it. All right. So give us the command from fresh.
Docker container ROM.
Remove.
14A.
We'll just copy it so that you don't make mistakes.
Okay. Yeah.
I shouldn't add that space, but let me just do that. All right. So yes, it's done. So if we do ls, what do we do now?
Docker container ls -a.
Okay. Docker container ls -a hidden. So we only have one valid container. And then if we do processes, Docker processes, we're also we should also see only one. All right. So the only container that is running has image running in it, and it's a full process. That is fine. All right, so we're good now. So we use that opportunity to learn how to remove containers. All right, so let's go down. So we have deleted containers. We can actually stop containers from working, even if we have not deleted them or we do not want to delete them. The command is easy. Docker container stop, then the container name. This one is assuming that you want to clear all of them. That is what you do. But if it was just one that you want to stop, of course, it will be the name of the container. In fact, let me do it. Control C, Control V, and then stop a container. Then it will be stop. Control C. No. Control C. Then stop container ID. Just put the container ID. That's what I'm saying. If you want to stop a particular container, you do control Docker container stop, then the container ID. If you want to stop all containers, then you do that. Delete all stopped containers. I do this. I use this one because I had like several containers. Instead of deleting them one by one like we did in class, I just use this method to stop all of them, clear all of them. One command stopped everything, and another command cleared everything. So they will be useful for your practice. All right. For equivalent images command, because all this is related to container. For equivalent images command, what I'm saying here is, and copy this. If the command we're talking about were images related command, then you'll be doing Docker image ls. So let's do, it will be Docker images. There'll be no need for that because we've used Docker images many times. How can you remember? Then delete an image will be, in fact, let us go and delete an image. Docker remove image ID.
I think we should create another. Okay. I think we should create another container and then delete the image.
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah, let's try that. But let me quickly finish. Container, stop a container. That will be just replace this with image. It will be search and replace image. Docker image, then image ID, Control C, Control V, stop image, stop all images, will be Docker image, stop, then will be Docker. I'm not sure about this. Let me just. Okay, let's try and delete all stopped images. Don't stop images, stop containers. Let's look for a place to copy that. So how do we see images? Docker images, right? To see whether there are images there. Docker images. Okay, so we do have an image, don't we? We have an image now.
Yes, we do.
Okay, let's remove the image. What's the command?
Docker
images showed us that one. Then delete an image with Docker image remove, then image ID. Does it work like that? Let's see. Let's prove that that works. It will be Docker image. No, that's not the command. Docker is Docker remove image. That's the command. We use it earlier on. So Docker remove image. Let's go and look for it. How to delete image. Or maybe we just saw it. Look at it. Docker remove then image ID. You see it? That's the command. So don't worry about this. Don't let that one confuse you. Let me delete that. In fact, don't worry about any of this. Sorry about it. All right, so let's go and delete that image now. Docker remove image. What's the image ID? Image ID, this one. All right. Was that your question, Jerry? You were saying
yeah.
So container will be, once it's already inside the container, then it's no longer an image. It's already a process. So you use the process command or container command to work there. You can only use this when it's an independent image. It's not inside the container. So this is an image now. To remove it, this is the command, delete image. All right. What's the problem? Let's try sudo.
It says image is being used by a running container.
Oh, okay.
And that's the container that has our my Tomcat 2 container.
Yes, and this is the number you were referring to. Where is that number?
Yes.
So you are right.
Remove.
So we cannot remove it. Where is it? Where is the container? Okay, we can look for the container. Where's the container? It will be. How do we clear container? We can either do
Docker
processes, Docker processes, or, and then we see Tomcat latest. Okay, we are not seeing the. Then let's do container then, so that we can see the image ID. What's the one to see container? Docker
container.
ls-a.
List Docker container. All right. It's still not showing the number. Processes. Yeah, I just want to confirm. I just want to see this image attached to that process. That's all I'm saying. What command? We saw it last time. What command will show us that again? Let me look for the command. Docker container ls-a, Docker container remove. No. Maybe it's ls-a. Docker container ls-a. It's still not showing us the Tomcat image latest. Okay. It's not showing here. Instead, it's showing the. So that image is in use by some container. And this is it. Since this is the only active container, it is safe to assume that that image is in use by this container. Just would have been fine if we could see the image number displayed somewhere.
Yeah, it wrote it up there when that error message came up. It said image is being used by running containers 03B4 something.
Where is the number? This one?
Yes.
Image is being used by running container 03B4, then ends with B3A. All right. So what's the name of this container? 03B4. Okay, that's another way to look at it. You're right. So we have, by this one, we have tied this container to this one. So it makes sense. So we are good. So me, I was looking for this image ID to be displayed somewhere. Although there should be a command to say, this image name, what is the ID? Yes, we have to look for that command. All right, so what have we successfully done today? Let us go back to the. Okay, for equivalent that, no, don't worry about this. Treat those commands separately. Sometimes we just want to prove to know and
or can we write Docker images and then it's going to list?
Well, let's try. If it works, we'll add it to our vocabulary. Okay, Docker image.
Yeah, that should work.
Okay, that should work, right? Yes, you are right. Docker images tells us that the one that Docker images is correct. But again, I was looking for another. This is the primary key. I was looking for another key to tie repository Tomcat. Would that be the key? Okay. This is the best we can get. Docker images this result is the best we can get. You see that there's an image by that one. It's just that.
And it seems, okay. It seems the image name there is a combination of the repository and the tag.
Repository and tag, like this?
Yeah. Yes, Tomcat latest. If you look at the container ID when you go to image,
Tomcat latest. Well, that looks more to me like coincidence right now. Until we see that in 3, 4, 5 pieces, then we can come.
Okay.
Oh, we're just learning, we're just exploring, looking at each element in details. We look at the front, we look at the sides, just to get used to them. So it's all good. But ultimately, what are we expecting to achieve by all of this? Let's look at the document. We're expecting that now to SSH into the container within the application, yes. We now want to post to a container specifically and not to the virtual machine. So we want to address the container that we have created now and put our Tomcat server is already there and deploy our application specifically to this Tomcat container. Okay, yeah, it makes sense now. Do you understand what we're trying to achieve?
Yes.
All right, so let's go ahead and do it. All right, so what's the command? So Docker PS checks if container is up and running, and then we can get container name from there. And after we get container name, we enter the command line interface of the container, specifically of the container. All right? Before then, we'll be entering the command line interface of the virtual machine. The container is now the virtual machine. So we want to enter to get the bash shell in the container. This means container gets its own bash shell from where you can access and issue commands specifically to the container. All right? So how do we achieve that? How do we get there? The command is this. The command is Docker PS, then Docker. That's the command. So let's try this command. So let's clear because this is a new thing. So Docker PS. All right. So these are the processes running, and this is the container ID. So we want to get specifically into this container and issue command. So it's saying that the command to do that is what? The command is Docker exec IT. All right, let's do that. Docker exec IT. All right. What's the container ID? We'll add the container ID.
I think there's a space before after the exec.
Docker exec IT. Okay, it's a switch. It's a switch, so there should be space. You're right. I mean, option. Option would not just like ls -a. The -a should have space here. All right, then Docker name. Then we'll now do bin bash. Bin bash. All right, so this is the command we should enter. And if it works, it means that we are now successfully inside the container. And we can treat the container as if it's a full server by itself. All right, let's take a look so that we don't have errors. Docker exec, Docker execute, -it, and the name of the container name, not container ID. So this should be container name. Why are we using container name, not container ID? What is the name of the container?
My Tomcat 2 container.
Are you seeing it here?
I'm not seeing it, but you can open the CLI interface very well. So the mobile is extreme. But I know that's the name.
Right name. Let me try the container. Let me try this and get error. I'm more comfortable with ID. Why not? So let me put the ID again. All right, so if we enter, yeah, it works. It works. So it should be container ID, not container name. Sorry about it. container ID. All right. So this is it. You see now that we're in the root, even though we logged in as EC2, we're now in the root of that container. All right. So we're working within the container now. Wow. We are now at the climax of DevOps. We are now inside the container. So we can now do our ls -l as if we were -la. Wow, look at the container. Look at what is contained inside the container. Where did this come from? From the image now. From the image inside the container. All right. Let's work on the container now. What's the next command? Remember that our important place here is the CD, is the WAPs, web apps. So let's go into web apps. Where's web apps? Look at it. Directory web apps. Do you remember that that's our, for the purpose of building the file that will be deployed to application server? This is our interest. This is where the file will be deposited. So let's go inside there. Web apps. All right, we're now inside web apps. What's inside? ls-l. Oh, nothing inside. Nothing inside. Did you notice the folder that came with Tomcat as software? Are you seeing my Word document?
Yes, sir.
Did you notice that the folders that came with Tomcat as software does not have Tomcat? Did not come with Tomcat as an image. When we downloaded Tomcat as a software, what we saw then, you may not remember, but what we saw then is different from what we are seeing now as Tomcat as an image. Tomcat as image is different from Tomcat as software is more like the ISO. Tomcat as image. But don't worry. They are inside web apps.dist. Move them from there into web apps folder. And what's the command? So you cd into web apps.dist, all right? And then you copy all the files inside into web apps. All right? So you're saying that, clear. We're in web apps right now, right? He's saying that when you do ls-l, it shouldn't be empty. In fact, let's see hidden files, Control A. It shouldn't be empty. There are folders that should come by default into web apps as a directory.
Yeah, we had some bean stuff.
Exactly, you remember now. So they are not here. But don't worry. Let us go and move them from wherever they are into this place. So where are they? Let's take one step backward. cd ... then ls-l. And they are saying they are inside here. Inside here. So let's go into that place. cd web apps.dist. All right. So what's inside the ls-l? Okay, look at them. These are the folders that would normally come with those things by default. Even when we went to GitHub, we saw these folders: root, doc, examples. So these folders, these directories should be inside web apps. So how do you move them or copy them? I think it's safer to copy, so that in case you lose them, you can always come back here. So to do it, you say, copy all these files. All these files. You may want to say all the file. You could do copy all these files. Where is it? Star. Star means all these files, right? Into where? Into, copy all these files into in the current directory, there is a folder called web apps. You get it? But that command is not complete. Excuse me. Okay, let's look at that command again. Are you seeing both screen? So
yes, I'm seeing both screen.
okay.
What you want to do is you're saying copy recursively from this particular folder.
Okay, so you remember the minute
files.
recursive. Let's put recursively since you remember. -R. Copy recursively.
Yeah.
All right. All the files in the current directory. Okay. To where?
To
our web
user.
apps is also in the current directory, right? Oh no, not in the current directory.
No. You're saying copy in this folder.
No,
okay. So.
No, I'm trying not to copy this directly. I'm trying for us to understand what we are doing. So this is not correct. So it is one step backward. So where is that? I think we have to enter the full URL. It's not in the current directory. So where's web apps? Web apps is inside the directory Tomcat. All right, and where's Tomcat? Okay, no need to bother our head. So let's copy the full URL from here. This is the complete URL. So it's /user /local / so that's the full URL of where this one is. If you didn't know, just memorize that and remember. It's always saved inside .user /local /tomcat /web apps. That's where this one is. And then copy star. Copy star should work, but just in case you're afraid that you might have, then you can specifically say copy everything in the current directory. So that you have fulfilled all righteousness. So this is the command. All right. So if we press that enter now, it should have copied everything into web apps. Last time we checked web apps, we didn't see anything inside. Let's go back now and check again. CD ... Okay, how did I even get that user? Look at it now. The user local Tomcat is there. The full, I just copied from here. How did I got that one? So there's no need to memorize it like I recommended. No, it's right there staring at you. This is the full part. So right now that we're here, ls-l, we have web apps. Let's go into web apps now. CD web apps. What do we have now? ls-l. Oh, beautiful. We now have all the folders there, correct. So we've done that part. All right. Finally, look for and move your web app file into the container. Last time we moved the web app file to the virtual machine, but this time I want to move it into the container so I can create more containers. And any questions?
Yeah, last time we moved it into the target folder.
Yes.
The virtual machine.
Yes. It's still the target folder. Everything we did internally is still the same. But this time we're just working specifically on the container. I mean, whatever we are doing now is specifically at the container level, not at the entire virtual machine level. That's just the difference. Otherwise, we are doing the same thing that we did last time. All right, if you finally look for, we took time to look for the last time. So this time, hopefully we'll know where it is. Look for the web app.war and then move it into the container folder. Look for and move into the container folder. All right, how do we look for it and move it?
Sorry to ask a question in between.
Okay.
You specifically wrote move. would there be some an issue if we do a copy?
No, copy actually is the same thing. If I make copy. So to move, you can do copy. Copy is okay. We'll be doing copy ever since. I think copy will be safer. So that I still have the original file in case anything happens.
If we keep the original file in a different folder, would there not be something like
conflict? No.
Yeah, conflict.
No. Because it will not go to a different folder to look for it. It will always look for it in the web apps folder.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, so to do that, we exit our container. Because right now we're inside the container. So we do exit. We are out of the container now. We are now in our machine. What's the way to say this? From container to maybe global.
Application server.
All right, but you notice that we are not inside the container. So from the application server, let us now look for and then send that file all the way into the container. So the command is this. We already know where the file is. We took time to really look for this last time and we eventually know where it is. So this is where the file is. Yeah? This is where the file is. And then when we get to where the file is, we say sudo docker, copy that file to the container. That's the command. All right, so let's go to where the file is. Where are we, by the way? We are here. Our web app.war is not here. It is cd. It's in opt, and it's in Apache Tomcat. Okay, maybe you don't know. Well, let's look at it one by one. ls -l. It must be inside this is directory. It must be inside here. So we do cd. That. All right. So print working. ls -l. So where do you think it might be? Where do you know it is? You should know. It should be inside here.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, we already put it there last time. So we should find it where we left it last time. CD web apps. All right. Permission denied. So sudo. All right, we're inside now. ls -l. What are we?
We have to cd into web apps now.
I thought we already did that. CD web apps. CD web apps. Sudo cd. ls -l. It's not letting us into web apps. I encountered this before. Why? I don't want to change to root. Okay. I don't have a direct explanation now why we cannot go into web apps. But we should be able to copy from web apps anyway. So we should be able to do why are we not? What's the problem? Web apps. So look at the permissions. The owner, who is the owner? Root. Only root can read, write, execute. Then I'm not even root. I'm a user. Okay, it has to do with this. It has to do with this. Because this is root. This is well, if I can find my way to it, I should still be able to even without getting it, I should still be able to copy. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We can stay outside and do what we want to do. Or we'll change the permissions here. We'll change the permission so that, okay, let's experiment. Let's quickly change permission. Do you see the problem we're trying to? Do you see the situation we're trying to resolve?
Yeah,
Yes.
but we still have to be able to change permissions now. Or maybe sudo will work sharp.
Oh, okay, that's another point. Let's try sudo first. Sudo should work. So to change permissions, do you remember how to change
Chmod.
permissions?
Yeah, chmod.
Chmod. Okay.
Okay, we want which one to have this thing now?
EC2.
We want
That's
the
all.
user to have the
Permission to.
That is 6. Yeah. You
Okay.
forgot that because that's
Oh, at least
777 or something.
So maybe.
Why are you laughing? The 66 thing.
Jerry is a pastor now, so there are so many things he's remembering.
I go. We are in the cloud class.
Don't worry, we'll just use it here, then you don't take it to altar. So Chimon CCC for who?
For the file, what's the name of the file now? Web apps.
Come on, web apps is a directory. Yes, it should work for directory as
well. Web apps.
Web apps. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Let's try it. Right? So it looks like it worked. So ls-l. Okay, web apps.
Yeah, it worked.
Okay. Now let's see if it serves the purpose. So if we now say cd web apps, what do we have? Permission denied. Sudo ls-l. No, it still did not work.
Wow.
It still did not work. Okay. Don't worry about it. But come on, why shouldn't it? What's depriving us from getting into web apps? Okay. Another thing I need to find out. But the only way now is to change to root so that we can get into web apps, right? Yes. To proceed, we have to wear our root uniform now so that. So sudo su. And then we can now say cd web apps. We are now in web apps. ls-l. So we'll finally know where. I don't have an explanation as to why we cannot get it, and it's not the first time out. Let me make a note of that. Okay, hopefully that reminds me. All right, so we're here now. What do we do now?
Copy the WAR file.
Okay, that's the whole reason we came here, to copy. So what's the command to copy? Okay, let's just see one more thing. If we go back to EC2 user, does this still allow EC2 user?
SU EC2.
Yeah, SU EC2 user. Right, so we are still in there. ls -l. Okay, sudo ls-l. Okay, we are still here. So I just need to find out that little thing that is blocking us from. All right, no problem. So let's do the work now. What's the command now? To move the file from server to container. All right, so look at the command.
But the ls-l worked when we use sudo ls-l.
Because we're already inside the web apps dot. Right?
No, we are still EC2 user.
Why is
but we are inside web apps already.
Inside web apps. It didn't work when we're trying to come inside web apps. Come into
okay.
web.
Okay.
All right, so let's just look at this command. This is the command. Once you understand it, then we can copy it. So we're saying sudo docker, copy this file where it is right now to container this. So what's the command? Where's the command? Oh, we didn't even give the command. It's assuming that we know how to. We can do it. Okay. So what's the command now? Since it didn't give us directly. Copy.
Sudo.
Okay, yeah, sudo, yeah. sudo copy
Docker.
from current. Oh, okay. It's Docker related. Let me just. Okay, so I can see it now. So sudo. First of all, sudo, and then Docker. Then copy. Copy what? And do from current directory, or you can simply say web app.war. Yeah.
Yes.
From where to? From current directory, right?
Yes.
To where?
/ user local Tomcat web apps.
Okay, / user local Tomcat. Then the folder called web apps. All right, so sudo docker cp this. Yeah, it looks good. So are we good to go?
Yeah, enter.
All right. Must specify the at least one container source.
One
container source.
Okay. Is it that because we didn't specify from this container on the line, on the other from this location?
Okay, let's try that.
In the command.
So copy web app from where? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, copy web app.
From
Yeah,
current
something
location?
like that.
Okay, let's try it. Must specify at least one container source. It's a new one. Okay. Okay. The container is, look at this command. I think this container is part of the command. This container adds.
Okay, okay.
So let's add that one. So web app user, so we must say it's a container. So here we say container colon. Docker or container colon, yes. All right, let's try this. Error, no such container.
I think it's the my Tomcat 2 something that we had.
Okay, so we want to specify not just container, the name of the.
Yeah, the name of the container.
Web app, oh, okay, look at it. Tomcat container. Yes, like you said, what's the name of our container? Tomcat what?
My Tomcat 2 container.
Okay. My Tomcat 2. In fact, let's just put the written. Okay, let's put my Tomcat 2 first. Then once it was to come back here and put container name.
Yeah.
Name of the container. Let's I believe it's Tomcat 2, but let's just confirm it. My Tomcat 2. We're going too far. Let me just go and use it. So we are saying that it should be the name of the container. Container name should be my Tomcat 2. Is that the full name?
Yes.
Was there container part as part of the name?
Yes, there's container, but I don't know that it's an hyphen before the container or the space. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think we have container like on that contain. Now let's try that. If we don't get it right, then we'll go and check the name and come back in. All right, my Tomcat 2
underscore.
Okay, error. So let's quickly go and get the name of the container.
All right.
Docker processes. That will give us the name.
Dash. Okay, it's dash. It's hyphen.
Hyphen. Okay, let's just copy from here. Control C. And then Tomcat2 hyphen container. Okay. So let's go back to what are we now? Print working directory. Quit. Control C. Print working directory. Okay, we're still here. So my container 2
dash.
Let me see if copy and paste will work then. Let's see if paste will work. Ah. Ah, man. All right, so paste now. Right click. Yes, it worked. Then
you have to remove the space.
All right, that's good. Let's try this one. Awesome, it worked. So let's quickly correct this. So this one should be, where is it? Container name. All right, Control S. In fact, let's make it a full command so we can copy. So copy this. Yeah, it's a full command now. It's something we can copy and paste next. Sudo docker web app container name, then user. All right, so let's come back here. So does that mean that the file is now there? I think as long as there's no complaint, the file is now copied to the container now. All right, everything done. Now let's set our deployment. Browse the public address of your application server using this. Browse the public address of your application server using this. Yeah, it will work. But how do we know that the one working? Okay, let's try it first. So what's our application server? Let's go and get the public IP address. Application server, public IP address. Then this one, right? We'll come here and we do Control V, 8080. All right, so we still have our Tomcat. Then we now have a web app. Yeah, it's working. But how do we know that the one working is not the original one we had? That this one now is working from the container. So let's go and delete the one on the server.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So where's the one on the server? Where is it located? Is it here? I think we're already in the place. We're on the server now. We're not in the container. This is the server. Okay.
Yes.
ls -l. Okay, we're not allowed. Sudo ls -l. Okay, this is it. So let's delete this. Let's delete that. So how do we delete? This one will remove.
Sudo rm
remove web app.war. All right. So ls -l.
Sudo
ls -l. All right. So the file is gone.
Yeah.
Are we right?
Yeah.
Yes.
The file is gone. What we have is just the directory. Let me just scroll up. Where did you remove it? Where's the remove command? Okay, here. So this file is gone. Was the last thing there. So what we have now is the web app. Okay, fine. So let's try again. Are we still able to browse? If we are still able to browse, then it means that refresh. Yes, we are still able to browse. we're still able to browse. So it's
Can we close it and open it again?
let's copy the address, close it, then open a fresh browser. In fact, let's even not copy the address. Let's go and copy from our application server. And let's just do some abracadabra so that it will look like we're just coming. All right, so we have application server. So we have this, copy, then we'll come here and then we'll paste. If we paste normally on port 8080, it will not work. If we now paste on port, the first one was on 80.
Yes.
If we now do it on port 8080, it's not working now.
Okay.
It's not working.
But we put /web app.
Look at
searching
this.
for it.
No, look at this. There was a mistake. I had two columns.
Double colon.
Double colon. Yeah. Double colon, yeah.
Let's do it again. /8080. Yeah, it's working. The problem was double colon. So our image is good. This is our image now, our Tomcat image. So our Tomcat image is working inside the container. But what about our application that we built? Is it also working? Our application is working. Oh, it's fine. So this is from the container. So we are good, right?
Yes, very good.
Wow. You can see I'm also using this one. Practicing by myself is very, very boring for me, to be honest with you. You could have noticed. I practice when I have something to motivate me. All right, so it's also a good practice for me, having not done this. Last time I practiced this was in December, January or so. All right, so this is good. Please, let's spend more time. It's good so far, right? Now,
yes, it is.
Yeah.
Awesome. We have been able to. Now, everything we did manually, let us now try to automate it. Okay. Automation. Create your own image plus all the configuration in Docker. I hope it is not too complex to practice now. Don't worry, let us go. Let's try to automate everything we did so that we'll not be the one to do all the copy to that place. Everything will just happen. Automation. So it means we'll create our own image and then we'll create the environment using Docker file. So we are doing introduction now to a new term called Docker file. So your Docker file will generate image and then put the image in Docker Hub. Well, that's not really your work. You are not a developer. Well, images are already put in Docker Hub for you by people who have used Docker file to build and generate image. You are a solutions developer. Just go and pick that image. All right. This is the Tomcat image you will pull from where? From Docker Hub and add to your configuration in order to create a new customized image to deploy your .war file. All right, to create a Docker file, see sample here on how to create Docker file. Control C. Control V. All right, this is how to create Docker file. Of course, you are not expected to learn all of them, just enough for you to help you create a Docker file. All right, and that we can explain right from here. We have enough on the Microsoft Word document to help you understand how Docker files. All right. All right, so Docker file. Okay, this is the one we just did now, Abi. Yeah, this is the one we just did. We've done this now. All right, so this is a sample Docker file now. We are saying from Tomcat latest, copy. In fact, what we are doing is not anything new. You know the commands that we entered one by one. We are just assembling the commands into a script. That's what we are doing. We are saying from the repository, bring this image and copy this image from here and then run this to put the image here. Sudo docker file. This is it. The work is all done. Okay, it's not so much. I just wanted to check that we don't have so much work to do. Now let's integrate. If we can stop here, that'll be fine. That is it. The work is all done. So if we can stop at that is it. We may want to first stop and then remove containers, then test. Let's see if it's not so much work. Right, so the command to do that will be sudo docker build -t tomcat image. This builds image from Docker file in current directory. And then the next command is Docker images will confirm that image has actually been created. And then Docker run -d name new container, create and run. Access the application via IP address port. I'm not sure there's something you can do today. It requires explanation. It's going to take us. It's going to take us another 45 minutes. All right, let's talk here today, knowing that at least we've been able to do it. We've been able to manually send a .war file to a container, and that knowledge enough is enough for interview. You created a container, and you were able to deploy your application in your container. The next thing you want to do now is to automate that process, so you'll not be the one to do it next time. Your Jenkins will just help you do it. All you just do is, I think we're beginning to do everything we've done so far is doing it the manual way to see how it should have been done normally. So what we'll be doing from now on is configuring the pipelines for Jenkins to help us automate the process. That's what we'll be doing from now. All right, let's stop there.
I have a question and a suggestion.
Okay.
My question is, I recently saw an advert that had this Agile, AGILE in it.
Okay.
It was a cloud job, but I think everything there I saw, I understood, except the Agile. And I was like, what's Agile? So I was going to ask you what Agile is. And then the suggestion is, can we have another class say on Monday before this thing runs out of our head?
Yes, Monday. Can we? What's Monday? I have a class I have 2 classes in the morning. Yes, I would very much like for us to do 1 class, but Monday is not very convenient. Can we do Wednesday? I'm free on Wednesday.
That when it's there, except I don't know what time we're starting. If it's 5.
Okay, what about Thursday? Are you free on Thursday, Jerry?
Yeah, Thursday is good.
Fine,
Thursday is good.
Fine. Then Thursday is good then.
Okay.
Jerry, it's Azemede still here. Azemede is gone. So please put it on the group. At least the 2 of you have agreed now, right?
Yes, sir.
So I have agreed with you. So just put it on the group so that other people are aware and we are not doing this thing behind them. So Thursday, same time. 9
What same time?
What same time now? Let's do it at this time on Thursday.
4 o'clock. 4:30.
When did you start class today?
4:30.
Let's do it 4:30 on Thursday.
Okay.
Is that okay for you?
Yes, it's excellent.
All right. 4:30 on Thursday. Once you advertise it enough, you put it on the forum and you remind your colleagues, and you are absolved of hijacking the class, then let's do it. Whoever misses it would make do with the videos.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, we really need it. So that way, we're now sure of completing the class by next Saturday. Thursday class or Saturday class, we're done.
Wow.
We've done the difficult part.
Was a long walk.
Yeah, it was. It really was. It really was. And like I said, just Akin being there and telling me, do this, you know, it's really enough. I just like that kind of working together. And then you too, Jerry. I mean, all of you generally, actually. It's just that so it's really hard for me to practice this. I'm not really serious. I want to eat biscuit, I want to do this, but when I'm there under pressure and you are there, I have no choice. So it's a good one for me as well. I'm learning just as much as you are learning.
Okay.
So my own jara is that after I learn it from here, I'll go to other class and shine, and they will think, oh man, you know the mistakes that we have made and all the errors we try to correct. But I did practice all of them though, originally, and it worked fine. But IT, you don't just practice one and say you know it. You have to do it over and over and over. I practiced this once, and because they worked, I was able to deduce to write my notes from there. Even the thing on my notes that does not work the second time, it worked the first time. That was why I had it on the note. Well, I just can't explain why it's not working the second time. Just adjust to the situation, edit the note to suit our current experience. All right, so I appreciate your patience.
Yeah, but you've not taken my question. You have only agreed.
You just want to force me, Sha. Suppose I don't know the answer. So you know, let me
I just want to know, because when I saw the advert, I was like, wow, this is good. Let me apply it. Then I saw something that.
I'm dodging it now. You are still bringing me back to it.
Because I want.
Let me try and answer the question.
Let me just do it right away, Akin, because of time.
Okay.
Yeah. So agile basically means that this whole idea of learning DevOps, first of all, it's not your work. Agile is not your work. But what it means is this whole idea of learning software development, learning DevOps, being a solutions architect is operated in company cultures that allow you to do things incrementally. An example of, I spoke with an agile, in fact, not just a Scrum expert, but an agile coach, a high-level Scrum person at managerial level. We talked for like 20 minutes or 30 on phone, and he explained to me how these things work in the industry, because he just got a contract of about $125,000 per annum as an agile coach. All right, so there is somebody in the team that you are working with, the team of developers, business analysts, the sponsor of the project, the project owner, everybody that is involved in this product that you are developing, these solutions that you are developing. For example, for First Bank or for American Airlines or for whatever that company is. So the agile person's role is to make sure that even as you are deploying this, what you know, you are deploying it according to the culture of the company, which generally supports incremental processes. Incremental processes means that if you are expecting your application to be used by 2 million people, but you do not expect that 2 million people will come at once, then build just enough of the application with just enough resources that will handle the minimum number of people, minimally, that you expect to come onto your platform. So you are going to deploy a solution that will ultimately accommodate 2 million people, but the first stage of the solution will accommodate only 50 people. Build a solution that accommodates 50 people. Don't go and build for 50 million. And then after that, over time, you now see that, oh, your solution is now getting popular, more people are coming, then you introduce scalability that will just allow that solution to accommodate the next 200 people, not still for for 2 million people. So you are incrementing gradually over time until you get to that level. And you never get to a level, there's always reason to increment. So there is somebody in the team that is called the Scrum Master, that is an expert in agile processes to make sure that even though you are a technical person, you are working according to agile rules and agile principles and agile methodologies, which is not too far from what DevOps does, to ensure that the company is enjoying all the benefits of agile and also meeting production targets. Because they are going to cite examples of how American Airlines was able to increase profit by 300% just because they followed these agile methodologies. How another company was able to save $50,000 out of a budget of 170 million naira because there was no wastage, because they followed agile methodology. They will give you different examples. Therefore, they are hired to be part of the team that would like supervise you, kind of, not technically, but in ways that would guide you to fit, to deploy your technical skills in agile way. So when they say agile as it relates to your profession, they are saying that you should know how to work economically, especially when it relates to AWS. Don't just go to AWS and buy everything buyable just because you want to build. Cost effectiveness must come into play. Build them incrementally. Use the minimum number of resources that you need for that program to work. Make sure it is working. And then once it's in production, we'll now begin to increase capacity gradually over time. Don't go and build a robust system that can take care of the whole world. And meanwhile, you have not even extended beyond your village. All right. A practical example she gave me was, you want to build a house. An agile way of building a house after you have your plot of land is to build one room and move into that room. Just one room, not a big building. Then as you feel that, I'm going to get married, I will need more space, you increase your one room to an apartment, to a flat. And then as you feel that, so the normal way, the waterfall way would be, well, I know that in another 20 years or in another 15 years, I'm going to have a family of 7. Therefore, let me build a house that will suit a family of 7 right away. That's waterfall method. But the agile way is, and that's waste. Agile people hate that. You can't do that. That's a waste of company resources. Tie down company resources for 15 years for children and family that you don't have yet is wrong. So agile person will say, yes, I know you want to build a house, but this is the agile method of building a house. You must build the house according to this method. Build one room first. And then you are wondering, why do I need one room when in 3 years I'm going to marry and I'm going to have? No. You don't have you have not married, have you? You don't have the children, do you? Okay, build one room. So they will tailor you and work with you in such a way that you would deploy that solution room by room instead of full solution. That's what agile does.
Wow, that's good.
So the only knowledge you are not expected to be an agile expert, because there's already an agile expert who is not a technical person on the team that will use his certification as a Scrum Master to guide you as to how these things are deployed in the most economical and agile way. But when they mention agile in your capacity as the role relates to you, they are just saying you should have worked in that kind of environment where you were supervised by an agile expert, not to be extravagant and not, because that's the whole idea, not to be wasteful in your deployment of company resources to achieve set target. That's just it.
Imagine. And I just saw it and the thing just turned me off.
Yeah. So telling them that you understand what agile and Scrum, they mean the same thing. Okay. At the end of the day, yes, Scrum is just a more specific agile specification. So telling them that you understand what Scrum is enough for this role. Because Scrum and agile people, they are non-technical people. They are more of a culture. In this company, this is how we do things, and so that we get results. They are more of cultural people. They are not technical, but you are coming in as a technical person, unless it's a different thing. A technical person that knows all of these details. So one person cannot be agile and then technical at the same time. But just enough, the understanding of what agile and Scrum is and their role as a member of this team is enough for you. Knowing that there's always this company culture side of things to guide you and to moderate the display of your technical skills. That's just enough to know that that person is there.
All right, sir.
Mm-hmm. All right, Akin, does that marry the contribution you were going to make?
Yes, but not as robust as yours anyway, but just the methodology part. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's a methodology.
Yeah, thanks so much, sir.
All right.
Thanks, sir. All right, so we will just drop the message on the group chat.
Yeah, drop them and then solicit their presence. But whoever is not able to attend would always have the video.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
All right, guys. See you on Thursday.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sir.
All right, sir.